Okay, it is 6 o'clock. It's time to call this meeting to order of the Edgefield County Council on December the 2nd, 2025, 6 p.m. Good to see everybody tonight. We're going to begin with the invocation, which will be led by Pastor Michelle Cummings of Cary Grove Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will please stand.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you. We thank you for a new day. God, we thank you for our life, our health, and our strength. God, we thank you that you gave us another opportunity, another chance to be able to witness your mercy and your grace, God, that you bestow upon us. God, we come right now, God, asking you to evoke your presence into this meeting, God. We don't want to leave you out of anything, Father, for we know that you are in control of all things. So we pray now that you unify the room, that you help us come on one accord, that you help us to understand whom you have called us to be and what our job is. Father God, we're praying for the Edgefield County and that decisions will be made to further this county into the great county you've called it to be. Thank you for each and every person at the meeting on tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Please join us for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay, Council, as far as approval of agenda, I have no recommendations. Does anybody have any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Allen makes the motion, Mr. Talbot seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, motion passes unanimously. All right, Council, we've got two guest speakers tonight. We'll start with Rick Berry, the Edgefield Community Wellness Coalition, and Claudia Brooks with the Red Partners. They're going to talk about final transportation needs assessment report. So I'll call on those two fine folks to come up and talk to us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's Rick Berry. I'm president of the Edgefield Interagency Council. Many of you know that. We've been meeting for about 30 years, and it's a consortium of pastoral, mental health, addiction recovery, service providers for the community. We moved our meeting from Johnston, where we were in the Chamber of Commerce building, to the Piedmont Tech campus. We've had pretty good following, and then it dropped off at COVID. And now we do it both in person at Piedmont Tech and by Zoom on fourth Thursday mornings. The presentation tonight, however, is on a spin-off from Edgefield Interagency Council. We found a group called South Carolina Office of Rural Health. It's not a taxpayer-funded organization, although it sounds like. They had an analysis of Allendale, Benburg, Edgefield County as potential health improvement, economic, that kind of thing. And they approached the Edgefield Interagency Council and said, we have a grant. Send us 2 pieces of paper, fill it out. We got $25,000. I'm to tell you in a few minutes what we did with that $25,000. And in the remaining time, we'll talk about the transportation assessment, which is a product that you have in front of you that's going to be useful for other organizations as they try to raise money for all purposes. So it's a data-based analysis done by Red Partners, and Claudia will cover that part of it. The way we got started was we had a meeting at the Johnston Edgefield Learning Center that was hosted by the South Carolina Office of Rural Health and DHEC, which is now known as the Department of Public Health, through a data walk that we had there. So it's a whole bunch of screens with people, information about race, relationships, money, economics, health, that kind of thing, with representatives of law enforcement. Sheriff Rowland was involved right from the beginning. Gladys Mason at the time, Victims Assistance, was involved. As I mentioned, pastoral education stakeholders, particularly the school district. So those were attendees. Through a series of meetings, we selected mental health awareness as our focal point for the Edgefield Community Wellness Coalition. Transportation is much included because of its corollary relationship to all health, as well as mental. In terms of our report, we held 3 mental health awareness functions, training for mental health first aid, training for 56 people. We had meetings at Piedmont Tech, at the Johnston Learning Center, and at the Sweetwater Community Center. We provided to the victims' trauma relief folks 96 backpacks with diapers and wipes for the victims' care closet, which Sheriff Rowland took a personal interest in his fancy new facility there. So at first, when we proposed the idea, they said, where are we going to put all this stuff? Sheriff said, I know a place. So our biggest challenge during the time was community involvement. So we're hoping that through this report and what we're going to provide, Ms. Ireland helped us a lot with the newspaper. We did what we could. Many of the agencies we had as participants have a headquarters outside Edgefield County, and they come in and provide services to our constituents in our county. But it would be nice if we had more county people involved in this kind of thing. That's my report, and I'm going to turn it over to Claudia to talk about the transportation part. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I will be, get this open here, be brief. You have 2 documents in front of you, and you have the actual needs assessment, and then you have the appendices. And I'm going to take a very quick highlight of those. And I really thank you, Rick, and thank you all for allowing me to come back today. I had an opportunity, I think it was back in June, to ask for some help on getting the information out to people, and you did. Thank you for putting it on your website. I really appreciate that, because I know we got some links for that. And then, I'll go through this quickly. The assessment grew out of a simple observation. Whoops. Transportation is the thread that connects almost every other part of the community, every other part of community life. Whether it's getting to work, buying groceries, attending church, getting reliable transportation determines the access to opportunity. Transportation is a daily influence on wellness and opportunity. For many, it's the difference between being connected and being isolated. The presentation will be a brief overview of what you'll find in the ECWC Transportation Needs Report. We began the project in May and completed it in September of this year. You can access this work online, where you can learn more, read or download the report and its appendices. Whoops. Did I? Transportation access. The report shows that Edgefield County has an opportunity to build a reliable, coordinated transportation system by combining existing services, local leadership, and proven models from other communities. This report lays out both the urgency and the pathway forward, realistic, affordable, and grounded in the voices of Edgefield residents themselves. Who participated? We gathered input from 168 survey respondents, including 95 from Edgefield residents. We also heard from employers, faith leaders, and service providers. Our participants represented a wide range of ages, incomes, and backgrounds. Notably, 1/3 were seniors, nearly half had household incomes of under $40,000, and 1 in 5 households included someone with a disability. 7% had no vehicle at all, which is higher than the state average. What we learned. Though pages 10 through 20 of the report provide the full survey findings. This is where you can find the demographics, income, modes of travel, destination, transportation challenges, preferred services, satisfaction awareness of services, and challenges outside of transportation. We tried to get a fairly broad and detailed information from the people who took the survey. We also had looked at community voices, and you'll see these kind of statements throughout the survey. And 28% of residents struggle to get transportation when they need it. The main challenges there are unreliable cars, high gas and repair costs, and difficulty scheduling rides. These barriers are especially tough for lower income families, seniors, and people with disabilities. As I say, and you'll read those quotes throughout the report. Transportation in the workforce. The data shows strong connection between transportation and the local economy. Reliable transportation sustains both the local employers and people who depend on them for work. Then stakeholder insights. To complement the resident survey, the Transportation Needs Assessment also gathered perspectives from employers, community partners, and faith leaders across Edgefield County. These stakeholders provided critical insights into how transportation barriers affect the daily lives of workers, families, and vulnerable populations. Their voices added context to the survey data, grounding the findings in lived experience and organizational knowledge. What's already here? The good news is that you're not starting from scratch. Edgefield offers services, many services. The challenge is that these systems operate separately and awareness remains very low. More than half the residents who have never heard of the Peach Blossom Express or do not know how to use it. Coordination and communication can make what you already have more effective. Increasing awareness and outreach is a critical need. And that costs very little money to do. Like that. Where can we improve? Our survey and interviews pointed to several key opportunities that you see here. These are all practical, local solutions, things you can build on right here in Edgefield County. And then we did have some recommendations for action, and they come in, they come in a clear framework, because transportation is a shared investment. It's not just a social issue, but an economic one. So we look at things like go, things you can do right now to move things forward. Pause, take a time to create, explore, and encourage local partnerships. Discover successful programs that are working around the country. And we've actually got some of those in the report. Stop. We are not suggesting that you put together a costly bus system like you see in big cities. And we also suggest that isolated efforts are not the way to go either. You need to look at things that can be countywide to there. And then reframe. Look at how to improve and expand those current programs. Look at how you might be able to put the medical trips that are being made now to stop at the pharmacy, to stop at the grocery store, to get people what they need at home in one trip. And there are ways to do that. Oh, almost there. And then my final thought here is Edgefield's transportation goals really closely align with South Carolina's Momentum 2050 plan. You probably all know that one, which emphasizes improving rural mobility, connecting residents to jobs and healthcare, and fostering regional partnerships. This alignment strengthens the case for state and federal funding. We also are encouraging the EWC, the EIC, all the organizations in the county to actively use this information in this report in their funding requests, because it is local data that really, when you pull the local data together with what you see regionally and nationally, it fits, and in some cases shows how you need it more than the rest of the nation. We do have some next steps, and I'm going to ask Stephanie Hughes, who is the chair of the ECWC, to step up and she's worked very hard on this. You'll see a lot of her comments in this report as well.
Yes, I just wanted to say that at the ECWC, I feel like that we have done a lot to identify the needs of this community, but without the participation of our community leaders and faith leaders, I don't know that we'll ever be able to meet those needs. We all need to work together. And I see a lot of individual groups working to do things here and there, but unless we all come together and try to do something for this community, I don't know that we will be able to meet those needs. So I just would invite everyone to join either my group or invite us to join you, and let's work together to see if we can meet the needs of this community.
May I recognize Self Regional for providing staff assistance for this study, and Walton Options for Independent Living, which pays my day labor. We are committed to disability issues at Walton Options. So those are two organizations that played actually a committed role. The fiduciary responsibilities were carried by Walton Options for Independent Living. So that's our presentation. We're available for
Questions, if you have any?
Council, any questions or comments? I will say that, first, I appreciate the presentation. And if I can put three things together that we've heard this year on council that are all related to, I'll call it economic development, getting jobs and all those things. Transportation, an independent study here talking about transportation is important to make the connection with jobs and other places, of course. But also, if you remember, a month or two ago now, the administrator went over what was done independently by the SRS Community Reuse Organization, which looked at housing, and there's not enough housing. And that was a stumbling block for people getting jobs. You don't have a place to live. And the third thing, Will Williams stood right there in February and told us that childcare issues hold back people from the workforce. So transportation, housing, childcare, three very important issues, and all done independently of government to figure out if there's some ways around that, and each one has at least some path forward that we can look at and think about and participate in. So I just bring that to council's attention and staff to say, you know, in the future as we're doing planning, we may want to think about those three items and how, you know, they're all big rocks by themselves. And it's hard to push a big rock, and now you got three big rocks, and there's probably more we could think of. But the point of what I'm saying is I just think, you know, if we start a little bit at a time trying to figure out in planning and other ways how we can affect those three things, I think that would benefit our citizens as much as anything.
And if I might mention, on page 19 and 20 of the report, it actually mirrors a lot of what you just said, because we did ask about other things that people were looking to have. So none of this works alone, you know, so.
And in my position with Self-Regional, what I do is work with low-income, uninsured patients to meet their needs, their healthcare needs. And I have ways that I can pay for their doctor's visit. I have an organization that will help them get their medication. I don't have any way to get them to their doctor's appointments. So that's like my biggest hurdle in what I do for my patients on a daily basis is if they don't have transportation, you know, I'm not allowed to put them in my car and drive them to a doctor's appointment. Otherwise, I would. And that's my biggest hurdle is getting people into the office to see their doctor. I can pay for their appointment. I can get their medicines free of charge. I got to get them there.
I think we're very blessed to have the Peach Blossom Express. Mr. Albert and I serve on the COG and board, and we hear a lot about this at our board
All the
meetings.
time.
We get regular updates on the aging, and the transportation issue is always key and central. And I don't know if y'all are working
We
closely
work
with
real
them.
close with
You-
Shannon.
Okay.
Yes.
Part of our concern was that she might think we were sharpshooting her,
No.
or, you know, anything like
Right.
that. We work close with the COG as well. We go to some COG meetings on this, so
And they're
those,
very
those
involved.
interactions are,
Yeah.
are essential.
And
I do want to recognize our volunteer, Carmen, before we get finished. She was quite helpful.
If I might say one thing about, with the Peach Blossom Express and the senior group there, we have had lots of conversation. You know, this can only help them, because she does have, you know, need help to get the message out. She needs help getting drivers.
I was about to say, Mr. Albert and I
yeah.
was our last meeting was talking about we cannot get drivers, and
Yeah.
so we are in dire need of drivers. And I also wanted to say that from what we have heard, Edgefield County, it sounds bad, and it is bad. I mean, we have room to grow, but when we've heard from other counties, I mean, we're in a
We're
good
behind.
shape. There are other counties that don't have this option, that
right.
don't have the Peach Blossom Express availability. So we are very fortunate to have that. But you're right, we need drivers. That was one of the things that they were really speaking about before. Yeah.
I cover Edgefield and Saluda County for the program I work for with SELF. And believe me, yes, I am blessed that y'all have Peach Blossom
Yes.
because Saluda County has nothing.
That's right.
That's
We
true.
hear about
That's
that. And McCormick has to partner with Greenwood, and
Yes.
they're needing
Yes.
vehicles and drivers, and so
drivers.
we are very fortunate. So,
And that's why working a group, working together can only expand what you have here. Like I said, that it's the good news that you have here with this, so, thank you.
putting it out there if anybody wants to come drive. I guess they can talk to y'all or someone or they can call us and we can find them the right people if they're interested.
Well,
I'm sure.
Pastor
So.
Leonard Griffin was taking a particular interest, and the other pastors, what we find out is they're arranging rides for their congregation. But so far, there's no coalescence of those opportunities. We even have some, in the report, there's some funding available for volunteer groups to pay mileage. There's some really opportunities there for the community to get involved.
So what we were hearing about I know I'm taking up a lot, but just want to share what we heard about the mileage thing. While the funding is there, that it only accounts from the place that they are going.
Going
It doesn't account for them from their house to the place they're going, not the driver having to get to them and then going there. So some of the drivers were having to drive such a far way to get to them, and none of that was being covered in a reimbursement, and so that was deterring a lot of people who wanted to drive. So I don't know if you knew that or not, but that was one of the points that we were given.
Oh, that's good.
That's-
If any of us in our council, the EIC, can be useful, after March 31st, I'm hoping to age out, not too quickly, 83 years, but there'll be others, I hope. And that's part of what we need is younger, emerging leadership throughout the community.
Thank y'all.
I've
We thank you
enjoyed
all.
doing this project.
Thank you for
All
having
right,
me.
thank you all.
Thank you. All right, council. Next on the agenda is the second guest speaker, and that would be me. So I'm going to turn the chair over to Vice Chair Talbert to chair the portion of me being the guest speaker.
I would like to say good afternoon to you all while he's coming down. We'd like to thank him for coming and present what he's going to present to us tonight. We know it's going to be inspiring and great remarks from him. So, Mr. Campbell, you can go ahead and get started.
Thank
I'm not going to put no time limit on you.
Well, thank you. Since guest speaker isn't.
All right.
But I'll be brief, so thank you, Mr. Talbert. Council, I put myself as a guest speaker tonight to ensure everyone in this room and those watching this meeting can gain a better understanding of a couple of issues that arose last month during the public hearing portion of our meeting. As chairman, I have a job to do for this council, and I will continue to carry out my legal obligation to you and to the citizens, and I did both correctly during the last meeting. I know some citizens watched our meeting online or watched segments of the last meeting on social media. Most people who watched it don't comment on social media, but some who do post items or make comments that are not providing our citizens with the facts. They are providing mostly their opinion. And as you have heard before, social media is not social, nor is it media. Tonight, I will give you the facts, not opinion, from last month. First, I want to start with a statement of economic interest topic that was brought up during the public hearing portion of the meeting last month. The speaker, Jessica Stewart, said that I had not filed this document with the state of South Carolina. She was correct. I honestly thought I had filed it. But when she brought it up last month, I was thinking about the campaign disclosure documents that we also file as elected officials. I have filed state documentation through the years as required. I want to publicly apologize to her for saying that I had filed it when I didn't. I also appreciate her bringing it to my attention, and when she did, I filed it the same week. It was my mistake, and I wanted to correct it as soon as possible. Also, I will be paying a fine to the State Ethics Commission for missing the deadline for filing. Those are all facts. Here are a few additional facts on that topic. I did not have some clandestine motives for not filing it, as some have said. I have nothing to hide because I've done nothing wrong. I simply didn't file a form on time. While I'm discussing the filing of the state's economic development interest, statement of economic interest, I want to clear up something one more time about our building and planning director, Hart Doc Clark, which was also brought up during last month's meeting during the public hearing. Doc is the administrator for several county-related areas because he has the expertise we need in those areas. There is no conflict of interest with him doing that. Also, the state required paperwork for elected officials, and some appointed positions do not apply to his job. While some may not like him serving in certain roles, he has no conflict of interest. To say otherwise is just an opinion, and to me, to say otherwise is a form of character assassination. Council, I have one final topic. There are some who still do not understand why at the last meeting I ruled out of order a portion of a constituent's letter and ruled a speaker out of order. I explained it last month as it was happening, but I want to go into a little more detail here to ensure all understand the government process of handling the public's business. That portion of the meeting I refer to from last month is called a public hearing. A public hearing is held on all of our ordinances. A public hearing is held at the second or third reading of an ordinance. In a public hearing, County Council wants to hear specific information about an ordinance, what is liked about the details in the ordinance, and what is disliked about the details in an ordinance. Last month, a portion of a constituent's letter was nothing more than a character assassination of some of our planning commission members. In other words, it had nothing to do with the ordinance we were considering. I also warned the speakers ahead of the public hearing that I would only accept comments about the ordinance at hand. Then the speaker who came up before us decided to try to discuss state paperwork not being filed. That discussion is fine to have at the right time, but it has nothing to do with the ordinance that was part of the public hearing. Let me give you an example. If a speaker wanted to talk about raising or lowering a speed limit during that same discussion, I would have ruled them out of order. That topic had nothing to do with the ordinance. As I said last month, Council absolutely wants comments on our ordinances to help us decide how to best craft them, particularly in a public hearing. However, just because a citizen says their topic or opinion has something to do with an ordinance doesn't mean that it does. Everyone should know that this council is transparent and wants all to be heard on every topic. There are places on the agenda where all those things citizens want to address can be addressed to council at a public meeting. Let me say that again so there's no room for misinterpretation. The public hearing time for comments is narrowly focused on the content of the proposed ordinance. As a matter of fact, the first public comment period also focuses specifically on agenda items only. However, there is a place on our agenda called the second comment period for a citizen to voice their opinion about any topic they want us to know about that is not on the agenda. And if you choose to talk about what you think about a planning commission member, other appointed or elected officials, including county council, we'll hear them all. And you can say what you want to say. I just look at the words underneath each public comment section on the agenda. You'll see what it says every month. It allows exactly what I'm telling you. There is discussion allowed on any topic on the agenda and any topic not on the agenda. I hope our citizens will take away from my remarks one key fact. County Council will hear all your comments at every meeting. Just because a citizen chooses the wrong time to speak on their topics on the agenda, that's not our fault as council, and it's not my fault as the chairman. It's called free speech, and you will find it available at every county council meeting. To say otherwise is an opinion, not a fact. Finally, I encourage everyone here and everyone watching to remember what I just told you when others decide to cast an opinion on what they think I said versus what the facts are. Council, I thank you for your patience. I'll be happy to address any questions or concerns the four of you may have.
Is that any question?
I would just like to comment on the social media part, and I've said this many, many times since I got elected. If it comes from the sheriff's department and they put out something on their social media, it's pretty well probably factual, then you can have opinions after that. But now I've learned also that if you would just come to us, any of us, one-on-one and ask your questions, you will probably get your answer a whole lot better that way than listening to somebody's opinion on social media. And I've talked to some people in this room one-on-one and satisfied their questions. But like the chairman just said, it is our worst enemy because, and I've looked some of these people up that opinionated, they don't even live in this county. They don't even live in this state. They just like to run their mouths. And so if y'all would just come to us, or David, or Doc, or if you got a question about what the sheriff's post, go to them one-on-one and sit down with them face-to-face and ask what you want to know, and they'll tell you. Might not like what you hear, but it'll be facts. Because nothing I say doesn't come from him. After I get my questions, I go to him or her. And then I'll give you what this book says right here, or what we have to live by. And so much of what we have to do is done in Columbia. We have to follow what they tell us to do. We don't make these things up. We have guidelines we go by. But like I said, social media is great in some things, but it is terrible in others.
I just wanted to say about the filings. Those are, before I ever came to serve on council, I covered, a lot of other councils, and that was always things that the council members spoke about is remembering to file, because there's so much you have to file at certain times. The window is kind of small if you don't get it. And I think if you ask any elected official, they're going to tell you that they've missed or done it wrong. And I call them every single time I have to file something and make them hold my hand through it because I am so afraid I'm going to mess up. And then I have Aretha go behind me to make sure I've done it correctly, because it is so scary to get one of their letters and say, you didn't do this right, because it is so, the things we have to file and when we have to file it, it's crazy. I get the reason for it and I appreciate that. But you're not alone in not filing on time. I hear that I don't think there's anybody who hasn't messed up in some way on their filing. So just wanted to throw that out there. It's a human error. I don't think that your heart was not to file. I think that it truly was, because we mess up. We do. So that's all.
Yeah, I just like to say that I was one when I got elected. I didn't file at all. And it was then Taz called, and she said, Miss Kenyon, I received a phone call stating that who was running for District 4, who ran for District 4, which was me. I didn't know I was supposed to send in money. I didn't. But I won't forget anymore. And so now, I told Eureka, if I have to pay her extra, please keep me up to date. Because that is one thing you do not want to do. But I am truly a living witness. I didn't file, and I regret it.
I've gone to meetings and I've heard people say, just go ahead and hand me the checkbook because I'm gonna have to pay them something because I'm gonna not file it right. Because it's a lot to do, it's a lot to file, but anyway, that's.
I understand.
Mr. Cameron, as being the chairman, my hat is off to you. You does a great job. And we sit there and we talk a lot about a lot of things that we want to do. And I'm so very proud that you made your mind up to come and talk to us and the citizens of Edgefield County. Because it's just sitting up here dealing with everybody is really a hard job. We forget a lot of things. And I thank Aretha. She owns us all the time by this and that and what we need to do. 2 and 3 times a day. My hat is off to her too. And our county administrator, he's the same way. Doc, the same way. And I definitely appreciate you letting us know how you feel towards us and the citizens of this county. And we looking forward for many years of serving with you. At any time, feel free to talk to us like a natural born man. I got to give it to you. You call me and let me know. We don't agree on everything. I like to let everybody know we does not agree on everything. But when the day is over with, we look for the best interest of the citizens of Edgefield County. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman, and thank you, council, and I'll return to my seat.
Okay. At this time, I will give the gavel back to Mr. Campbell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chairman. I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody's patience. And so we will move on with the agenda. Next is the approval of the minutes from November 4th, 2025 regular meeting. Are there any questions or comments from council on the minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Mr. Moody makes the motion. Is there a second? Second. And Dr. Kenyon seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, motion passes unanimously. So you know I've all about the public comment periods now. I shouldn't have to say anything else about it, but coming up is the first public comment period. So I'll ask the clerk, did anyone sign up for the first public comment period?
No.
Okay. So, no one's there. While I'm on that, by the way, if you're sitting in the right spot, you can probably see right below my nameplate, there's a new clock. So if you can see that, this clock is here. One, it just shows the time to you. We usually see the time on the back wall. You now can see what the actual time is. But this clock will also be used now, and council, if you hadn't seen it, you'll, after the meeting, you can have a demonstration. Literally just put up probably today, I think, but in the last day or so. And it's what is going to time our public comment periods. So a speaker can see exactly the countdown from 5 minutes backwards, and it'll alarm when they're through. So that's to help our speakers. So you'll see that in action perhaps at some point. All right, council, no one signed up for the first public comment period, so I will close that and move to the reports. Any questions or comments on the reports? Hearing none, we'll move to old business. Under old business is consideration of approval of third reading of ordinance 25-26002, an ordinance to amend chapter 24-79 of the Edgefield County Code of Ordinances regarding conditional use for recreational vehicle parks. So I'll ask the administrator if there's anything new we need to consider here.
There's no new information.
Okay. Council, any questions or comments on this ordinance? Hearing none, is there a motion to give third and final reading to ordinance number 25-26002?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Talbot makes a motion. Is there a second? Second. Dr. Kenyon seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, motion passes unanimously. The second item of old business, consideration of approval of third reading of ordinance 25-26004, an ordinance to amend Edgefield County zoning map to include changes for the newly created Rural Agriculture Land Preservation Zoning District, MAP C District 3. I'll ask the administrator and perhaps assistant administrator, anything new we need to know for this final reading?
I have no new information.
Okay. Council, any questions or comments on this ordinance? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve third and final reading of ordinance 25-26004?
So moved.
I'm saying Ms. Ireland made the motion and Mr. Moody seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, motion passes unanimously. Next is new business. Number one, consideration of approval of ordinance 25-26005, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an amended and restated solid waste service agreement with the Three Rivers Solid Waste Authority to extend the term thereof through 2050, update tonnage commitments, and increase annual tipping fees, authorizing the issuance of the authority of its revenue bonds in the amount not to exceed $30 million to fund the construction of a new phase and other matters related thereto. Council, we had a presentation on this topic last month at this meeting. Now we have some action to take, so I'm going to call on the administrator if he'll walk us through this one.
Thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit about this ordinance and then talk a little bit about how Edgefield County funds the solid waste program. So the Three Rivers Solid Waste Authority needs approval to seek funding through a bond sale for the construction of a new landfill cell. They will run out of space in their current cell, I think in 2028. A new cell is simply a new area within the landfill footprint that will be open for trash from the 9 member counties. We are part of the Tri-County Solid Waste Authority, our group, and overall there are 9 member counties that participate in Three Rivers Solid Waste Authority. So this landfill cell that's going to be constructed will have capacity for about 13 years. To construct this, there will again have to be a bond sale. And to pay off the bonds, Three Rivers will need to raise the tonnage fee that Edgefield County pays and all of the member counties by $10.30 per ton over a 5-year period. So our current revenue stream, what we use to pay for solid waste in Edgefield County, comes from a $100 solid waste fee. Anyone who pays a residential tax bill or business tax bill will see that fee on their tax bill. That raises about $1.3 million per year. Our expenses are broken into 3 main costs, the smallest of which is the operation of our convenience centers, utilities, lawn care. That's 5%. The next largest portion is the staffing of the convenience centers. These are the 8 centers where you'll take your garbage. And that staffing costs about 29%. We contract with the senior center to hire those employees. The largest portion is 66%, which we pay to Tri-County Solid Waste. They have their cost for running their tipping floor. It's where garbage comes in and then it's trucked out. It's over on Weaver Road and it's trucked out to Three Rivers Solid Waste Authority. So the tonnage that we are going to pay Three Rivers is passed through Tri-County. They add their operational costs, their employees, their equipment to that. So our solid waste fee was already due to be adjusted this year. Inflation has caught up to us. And if you can imagine how much garbage one residence will generate, I think most people quickly realize that it's hard for $100 to cover that, the transport of that, the diesel fuel to move that material to Three Rivers landfill. So we have been talking for a couple years that we're getting close to having to adjust that fee, and we were looking at adjusting it around $15 to $20. This increase in tonnage fees to Three Rivers under this new contract to fund the new cell, plus the additional operational cost of Tri-County, will be about $15 to $20. So this is very early in the process, but council should expect when we begin to talk about the budget in March that we are going to need to increase the solid waste fee to somewhere in the $135 to $145 range. It is just that expensive to move garbage now. In a way, that's bad news. We have to raise the fee. But in a larger, a broader view, it's really good news that we have Three Rivers Solid Waste Authority, because we have decades and decades of capacity left. It is almost impossible regulatorily to build a landfill right now. Most of the landfills in South Carolina are at or near capacity. There are people in portions of our state that are paying 3 times this amount of money. So we can, unfortunately, always look forward to an increase every several years, but we aren't looking at anything like other parts of our state are, parts of the upstate, and especially the coastal plain. They're in a mess right now. So bad news and good news. But we have to have a new cell built. We have to have an area to receive our garbage. I do want to touch on one thing. The number $30 million was mentioned, and people may ask, okay, why does it cost $30 million to dig a hole in the ground to bury trash? Well, that's not quite how it works nowadays. Landfills are required to be lined, and when you line a hole in the ground, what happens when it rains? Water goes into the hole. Every day that trash is deposited in the landfill, they have to provide daily cover, meaning they push a little bit of soil over it, they compact it. Surface water from rain sheets right off. They control that like you would see a construction site, a detention pond or something like that. The problem is the rainwater that soaks into the landfill then becomes a wastewater. It becomes what's known as leachate. So you have an intricate collection system of pipes and pumps underground that pump that leachate out, and then you have to pay to dispose of it. You also have gas generated within the landfill, methane gas. Some of it is harvested and sold. The rest of it has to be off-flared. You'll see flames coming out of pipes in the landfill, and that's how it's processed. So that intricate system of having to control the waste is what makes a hole in the ground for garbage cost so much, unfortunately. And that's just the nature of it. I don't see a way around this. I would recommend that council approve this so they can move forward with the bond sale and we can have more capacity going forward. Thank you.
All right, if I can, let me start the discussion. Also, I think we heard last month that the average cost for handling the garbage that we've now got to go up to, the extra cost, still puts us below the state average with what's out there right now. And the state average will continue to go up too, because everybody's going to have to pay more. And, we talked about this last time, that there's only a handful or less of landfills in South Carolina, and in about 10 years, there won't be any but us, probably. It's the thinking now, because Department of Environmental Services is just not going to make any more new landfills. And so I don't know what the world's going to do when that happens, and everybody else in every other state. But for now, our 9 counties are very well protected based on where it is. Nobody wants to pay more for garbage. It sounds, we all just think about when we're at our home and we have an empty paper towel roll or some other trash, and we just throw it in the garbage, and we throw that bag in a bin at the convenience center. We don't think about it anymore. Sounds simple, but it gets more complicated once you throw it in that bin, and we have to deal with it. And it's just a topic that, until I got involved in it, never knew how expensive it was, and so it'll never be cheap. So I'll open it up, council, to questions or comments.
Just, I know you said the 13 years, but, we talked about this last meeting. That didn't account for any of our growth, so in actuality, we're probably looking about 10 years out of this site, which is, fine, it is what it is, but I don't want in 13 years, or 10 years when we come back and somebody's like, well, you told us we're getting 13 years. That's just an estimation on some figures that didn't include any growth to that, so.
That is correct, but what goes along with that is if we have growth that causes it to fill in 10 years, then there's more tonnage hauled to the landfill, which is more revenue for the landfill to pay the bonds off faster. So that should not result in a situation where we run out of capacity and yet we still have payments to make.
And y'all sit on the boards, so. Just
Tri-County.
Yeah,
wanna-
Saluda County will be getting their presentation next Tuesday or Monday, whenever they meet again. So they'll be going through the same thing we're going through tonight, as well as McCormick. And so everybody will have to be adjusting it. So don't think your neighbors in the two counties next to us aren't getting off scot-free. They're not either.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. If not, council, then I will entertain a motion to give first reading to ordinance 25-26005.
So moved.
Mr. Talbot makes the motion, Dr. Kenyon seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, motion passes unanimously. Under new business number 2, consideration of approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Old Edgefield District Genealogical Society, authorizing the county to accept ownership of all records belonging currently to OEDGS and all documents, records, computer listings, and other items recommended for acquisition by the OEDGS, Appendix A, employing one full-time employee to operate the facility housing the collection, and outlining the support responsibilities of the OEDGS. So again, I'll ask the administrator if he would walk through the details of this one for everyone, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I get started, we have 3 board members from the Old Edgefield District Genealogical Society. If I could just ask them each to stand up and introduce themselves, give your position.
Tanya Guy, I'm the president of the OEDGS.
Justin Guy, Assistant Treasurer.
Don Ferguson, Treasurer.
Thank you.
Our second vice president, Katie Ferguson, and our social chairman, Jeannie Matthews.
Thank you.
2 others came in that I didn't notice. But thank you for that. I just wanted to recognize them. So I think that all of council is aware of the turmoil in the past over ownership surrounding many of the genealogical records in the county. Thankfully, happily, this issue's been resolved with OEDGS possessing the records and providing public access to them in Johnston. And if there's anyone here who hasn't been to that facility, it's absolutely beautiful. But the purpose of the Old Edgefield District Genealogical Society is to promote genealogical and historical research in the Old Edgefield District. And they are the largest genealogical society in the state of South Carolina with over 400 members. Their library collection, now housed in the Johnston Genealogical Research Center, encompasses over 5,500 historical and genealogical books, 2,500 surname files, 2,000 subject files, hundreds of reels of microfilm, a digital archive, a large selection of African American and Native American genealogical resources, and is constantly adding to its library collection. They also drive a lot of foot traffic to our area, which benefits local businesses. So there is an extensive collection of family histories as well, with new titles being added regularly. So the county's interest in these materials do align with that of OEDGS. That is to preserve the collection, expand the collection, and above all, to provide continuous public access to the collection. It's been mutually agreed, I think, in my discussions with OEDGS, that the county's strength, what we bring to the table, is the ability to protect, preserve, and ensure public access long-term to the materials. OEDGS's strength is in promoting and expanding the collection. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this MOU with OEDGS. We just believe this will be a great transaction for us to possess and manage the materials with their support to expand the collection long-term. That's all.
Questions or comments from council? I only have one. Is, from a cost standpoint, what's the estimated cost to the county to participate in this?
So we will have the cost of one full-time employee, and then we'll have the revenue of a contribution yearly of $10,000 from OEDGS, as well as the sale of materials that are produced by the county. So the OEDGS will also pay the rent and utilities on the facility. So the cost will be one full-time employee minus $10,000. You're probably looking at $35,000, $40,000 a year.
Okay. And I'll look at the five people right here and say, obviously, everything is good with you guys about doing this. Okay. Anything else from council?
We'd like to thank you all for y'all service.
Okay, council, is there a motion to approve this memorandum of understanding that's been explained to us?
So moved.
Dr. Kenyon makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Talbot seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, motion passes unanimously. Next, under number 3, new business, consideration of approval of the regularly scheduled council meetings for calendar year 2025. This is a requirement we have to do each year to set our meetings for the next year. I'll just tell council that all of them are on the first Tuesday, which is when we meet, except for April, because the first Tuesday would be Masters Week. So we meet the second Tuesday in April. But every other time is the first Tuesday, and I understand that in August, that would not interfere with the annual meeting for the Association of Counties. So there wouldn't be any.
Mr. Chairman, could I correct the agenda?
Sure.
I'm glad you caught it.
Meeting calendar for 2026.
And I read it wrong. I even thought 2026, and I read it. Yes, that's right. It's 2026, council, yes. Let's not go back in time. So that's the explanation of the only one being on the second Tuesday in April. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I just had one quick question. In November, that falls on election night. Do we want to keep it there? Because I know in years past, sometimes we moved it and sometimes we haven't. And when we've moved it, it's been closer to, if we move it now versus closest to, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to, I'm just putting it out there.
It's a good point. In the past, we've moved it a week later.
Right, so I'm
So-
just wondering if you want to do that this time.
You know, want to move the November 3rd meeting to November 10th.
Correct.
I have no problem with it.
All right.
I have no problem with it.
Me either.
So I need to make the attorney happy by amending this. So if there are no more questions on that, let's first, is there a motion to approve the regularly scheduled council meeting calendar for 2026?
So
as
moved.
discussed. All right. Mr. Moody makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And Mr. Talbot seconds. Under discussion, I think we want to amend, so I will make the motion to amend the motion to change November 3rd to November 10th, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Talbot seconds. Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, motion passes unanimously. We're back to the main motion. Any more amendments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the amended regularly scheduled council meetings calendar for 2026?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, motion passes unanimously. All right, next is comments from the public. This is the second public comment period, and I'll ask the clerk, I think we had some people sign up for that one.
Yes.
And as I discussed earlier, you'll have the clock in front of you, but we won't be using it tonight because we still have a little bit of work to do with it. But we'll do what we usually do. The clerk will give you a 4-minute and a 5-minute warning, and you have 5 minutes tops. All right, and I'll take you in the order that you signed up. So I'll start with Callista Bratton? Sorry, yes, thank you.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the council. I stand before you today on behalf of many residents who care deeply about the direction and integrity of our county government. As we move towards 2026, we respectfully request that the council adopt a more transparent approach in communicating with the public, one that fully honors both the spirit and the letter of South Carolina's public notice and public participation laws. Recent events have made it clear that many citizens do not feel adequately informed about the county's priorities, plan initiatives, land development decisions, or ordinance revisions. Transparency is not only essential for trust, it's the foundation upon which representative government operates. When citizens are left uncertain or unaware, confidence erodes and community engagement declines. To help rebuild this trust and ensure we are all moving forward together, we respectfully ask the council to provide citizens with a clear and accessible 2026 objectives and goals brief at the January 2026 County Council meeting. The brief should outline major policy and ordinance initiatives planned for 2026, the county's strategic goals for growth, environmental protection, infrastructure, and public safety, any expected changes to public processes, notification methods, or decision-making authority, a transparent overview of how citizen input will be incorporated into these processes. Providing this roadmap is not only good governance, it empowers residents to participate constructively, plan effectively, and understand how their tax dollars and elected representation are shaping the future of Edgefield County. Our community wants to be a partner in building a healthy, safe, and thriving county, but partnership requires open communication. We ask that you commit to regular updates, clear advance notices, and a published 2026 goals document so citizens can stay informed and engaged. Thank you for your time and for considering this request. Transparency strengthens trust, and trust strengthens our community. Together, we can ensure that 2026 is a year of clarity, collaboration, and progress for all Edgefield County residents.
Next is Robin Shealy.
Good evening. My name is Robin Shealy, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I'm here to respectfully request some important clarifications on the recently changed process for large land developments. As many of us in the community have noticed, the process has not been fully outlined in a step-by-step manner on the county website or in recent meetings. First, I'd like to ask that we have a clear and detailed outline of each stage of the new development land approval process. It would be incredibly helpful for residents and developers alike to understand exactly what steps are involved. Secondly, I want to emphasize how important transparency is. When the process is clear and easily acceptable on the county's website, it builds trust and allows the whole community to stay informed and engaged. There's another reason that this clarity matters. Under the new system, a citizen who disagrees with a planning administrator's decision on a land development project appeals that decision to the Planning Commission. But appeals can take time, legal expertise, and detailed knowledge of the process. And those are things that do not always come naturally to everyday residents. This is why many of us worry that without a clearly published process, the voice of the public could unintentionally be limited or stifled. Providing a transparent, step-by-step outline ensures that citizens can understand the process early, participate meaningfully, and know where their input matters. Finally, I'm asking that this detailed process be made public and available before the council meets again in January. That way, everyone has time to review it, come prepared with any questions. I believe the clarity will have a benefit for all of us. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay. She's helping me read handwriting here. I'm sorry, Jason Culp.
Should have been a doctor, is what you're saying?
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm going to pretty much continue on the same theme of tonight's speeches. Chairman, members of council, my name is Jason Culp, and I'm a resident of Edgefield County, and I have a simple but essential request, one that directly supports transparency, community awareness, and public trust in our county's development processes. In light of the significant changes made to the 252 land development ordinances and the newly centralized decision-making authority within the Planning and Building Department, it is more important than ever that citizens have timely, reliable notice when development applications are submitted. Right now, residents often learn about major projects only after approvals are already moving forward. This lack of early visibility leaves the public confused, frustrated, and feeling excluded from decisions that directly affect their neighborhoods, their environment, and their quality of life. To correct this gap, I respectfully request that the Edgefield County Building and Planning staff implement a public alerting process similar to the South Carolina Department of Environmental Services SCDS e-permitting notification system that automatically informs citizens when a new building or land development application is submitted, a major site plan, RV park, subdivision, or rezoning application enters review, any public comment period or hearing is triggered. This system would be as simple as a county email list, web page, alert feed, or automated notification tool. The technology already exists, and SCDS has demonstrated how effective it can be. Implementing this process will, one, significantly improve community awareness, ensure compliance with the spirit of South Carolina's public notice requirements, reduce misunderstandings and the perception of backroom approvals, promote trust and cooperation between the public and county government, support the council's commitment to open, transparent governance. With the recent ordinance changes shifting more decisions to staff level, early public notification is no longer optional, it is necessary. Citizens deserve to know when development is proposed near their homes, their roads, and their natural resources. I urge the council to direct planning and building staff to establish this alerting process as soon as possible so that the transparency is strengthened and the people of Edgefield County can remain fully informed, engaged in shaping their community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. All right, council, no one else signed up for the second public comment period, so I will close that and move to reports from county council members. Does any county council member have a report tonight?
There's been a minor change over at the pickleball courts at Sweetwater. I'm not sure if you were going to touch on this, but I'll go ahead and steal your thunder. To use it at night, there's a manual timer. Just go over there and just flip it. It runs to an hour at a time, but it will not run past 10 p.m. So 10 p.m. is the latest you can play at the park or the pickleball courts at Sweetwater. But they will not come on automatically. So if you pull up in there, go over there, turn the timer to an hour, play. If you run out of time, just keep turning it. And that's all I've got for you.
I thought I would just touch on a few things that Mr. Albert and I were aware of, and I was able to speak about this at the delegation meeting as well, regarding DOT, specifically Trailside, because I've gotten some emails on that. There are some projects that have sat dormant for years, and now we are seeing a little bit of movement, Trailside being one of those. Our update was that they will be holding a public hearing initially scheduled for June, but they have moved it up till April. As Representative Hickson said, we're not sure why we need a public hearing because everybody knows that something needs to be done over there. But we're doing legally we are doing a public hearing. So there's going to be a public hearing that right now is scheduled for April. Then they will bid out in 26 with construction to start hopefully in 27. That is the goal. I'm hoping maybe we can get some of that even pushed back, but I don't know if that's feasible or not. But I do know they can move faster when they want to because they had told us 23 would not be paved until toward late 2026, and 23 is almost completely paved now. So they got a little bit of work because I drove in on it, so they still got a little bit of work to do tonight. They're not all done. Their equipment's still going up down my road, but they are working on it, and so it's almost complete. So they can move a little bit faster when they want to. So I just wanted to give those two updates. There are a couple other projects out there as well but everything besides 23 was bid out 2026, construction 2027. So that's where we are headed with the projects and when I say years, I'm talking, over 5, 6, 7, 10 years. So they have been sitting dormant with absolutely no movement. So now we're hopefully going to see some. So
I would just like to say I want to thank Mr. Jimmy for helping with the completion of the hand houses at the convention center. From my understanding, it was 4 so far. We'll do 4 next year. I had the opportunity to visit one. Looks great. They're just waiting on the painting and putting up the rails. But please tell Mr. Jimmy, I love it. Great job. Great.
Thank you. Anything? All right, thank you, council. I will ask the county administrator for his report, please.
Thank you. So our Edgefield County EMS is excited to announce a new career opportunity for residents who can apply for the 2026 EMT Academy through our EMS department. As the citizens may remember, we intend to add a 4th ambulance 24 hours as soon as we can. We're going to add it for a daytime shift at the start of the new year, but it is difficult to find people that want to work as EMTs, so we are going to essentially train our own crop of EMTs. Eligible applicants will be employed by the EMS department at a slightly lower rate than an EMT would make as they complete a 15-week EMT academy for a total of 240 contact hours. Applicants will work alongside the EMS providers to gain practical experience and complete driver training. This will also allow applicants to provide additional help, especially lifting help when responding to calls. So applicants will complete 16 hours of training each week, 24 hours of clinical internship, and upon completion of the academy, applicants will be eligible to sit for the National Registry EMT exam. After completion of that exam, passing that exam and state certification, they will be assigned to an EMS shift and continue working as a full-time employee. So we've had staff members that help teach it at tech schools that teach these programs. And for a long time, we wanted to do it in-house so we can lobby and get a group of residents of this county who would like to enter a new career field. So we're excited about this. We hope that the first class will start in February. So I have also received a couple of complaints, and they're sort of similar to what several of the speakers spoke about, but it goes to the way that we post county council meetings and how we notify residents about county council meetings. Particularly, why do we, rely on posting notices on the building? Who's going to come by and see that? That people want things in their email or on a website, and why are we running meeting dates in the paper? Why don't we find other ways to also run the notices of meetings? That we should go further in this modern age. But I want to clear up the misconception. Yes, we post outside of the building because that's state law, and we'll continue posting outside of the building. We also post on the town square outside of our office on the bulletin board and in the courthouse. And we run meeting dates in the newspaper of record, and especially public hearings in the newspaper of record. That's also state law. But we also post the agenda and exhibits on our website. But what I want residents to hear, and this is the main takeaway sentence, even more convenient to anyone who wants to know what's going on with county council, what's going to be on the agenda, if you simply provide your email address to Aretha Eubanks, our clerk to council, you will get an email in your inbox with the agenda and the exhibits, subject to file size restrictions. If the exhibits are 400 pages, you'll get a synopsis of the exhibits. But you will get those emailed to you generally the Friday before the meeting, which would be the next Tuesday. So just take advantage of that. If you want to know what's going on, you can open that email, look at the agenda, and decide whether you want to come to the meeting or not, or watch it online. And I believe the same is available for the planning commission agendas. If you just ask that Doc add your email to his listing, you will get a copy of the agenda in your email box. So you will know exactly what's going on. And of course, I have an open door policy. You walk in my office anytime, you call me anytime. The same is true with Doc. So if you have any questions about something on the agenda, call, come by, sit down, ask, and we'll answer them. That's all I have.
And just to add on to that, we also have Text MyGov, so you can also get text alerts too, not just email alerts. You can go to the website and sign up for Text MyGov, and County Council has its own section, Planning Commission has its own section, Fire Board has its own section, et cetera. But if you click on the link, it will take you to a page that explains how to text in and sign up for all of those things.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council for the administrator? All right, thank you both. For the chairman's comments, I just want to let you know at the Edgefield County Legislative Delegation meeting last month, I gave a snapshot of what this council accomplished this year, and it's quite a list. And I thank you, council, for plowing through all the items that we worked on this year. Also at the delegation meeting, as you heard, Councilwoman Ireland gave a report on some Department of Transportation issues that she's been tracking, and I appreciate her doing that. As we turn the page now on a new year shortly, we know there will be some issues that continue, and new issues will arise. That's the nature of government service. But this council has proven it's up to the task, and our citizens should be grateful for your commitment to them. I'll end by saying I know we all wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a great holiday season, and a Happy New Year. And we look forward to seeing each one of you back here on the first Tuesday in January. In council, there's nothing else on the agenda, so I'll be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Dr. Kenyon makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Ireland seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed, motion passes unanimously. Appreciate everybody being here.